Have you ever opened your lab report hoping for good news only to feel your stomach drop when you see that creatinine number climb again? It is a sinking feeling that steals your confidence and replaces it with fear because you know that rising creatinine does not happen by accident. It is your body sending a warning that your kidneys are struggling more today than they were 3 months ago. And for many Americans over 60, this is the moment when the quiet worry turns into a real threat that can change the rest of their life. I am Dr. Richard Hale, and after 30 years of reading blood tests and watching patients age far faster than they should, I can tell you something that most people never hear until it is too late. When creatinine rises, the clock does not slow down for anyone. Kidneys rarely fail overnight. They fail one decision at a time, one meal at a time, one ignored symptom at a time. By the time most seniors realize how serious the damage is, their GFR has already slipped into a danger zone that leaves them only a few steps away from dialysis weakness and losing the independence they have fought to keep. But here is the part no one warned you about. Some of the most powerful tools to lower creatinine and protect your kidneys are not found in a pharmacy, a specialist clinic, or a complicated treatment plan. They are in your kitchen right now, sitting quietly on a shelf while your kidneys struggle without their help. And once you understand how these foods work, once you learn how to use them the right way at the right time, your kidneys can gain more support in a few weeks than many people get in a whole year. And that is where your real turning point begins. Most people look at an apple and see an ordinary fruit. But when your kidneys are under stress, ordinary things can become powerful lifelines. Apple is one of the most misunderstood foods in kidney care, and many seniors avoid it because they fear fruit sugar. Yet inside every apple is a combination of fibers and antioxidants that work like a hidden cleaning system your kidneys desperately need. When I tell my patients this, their reaction is always the same. They look surprised, as if something that simple could not possibly make a difference, but nothing could be further from the truth. I remember a patient named Eleanor, a 71-year-old retired school teacher from Ohio, who walked into my clinic holding her latest lab report with trembling hands. Her creatinine had risen again, and she felt like she was losing control. She told me she had cut back on meat, reduced her salt, and avoided sweets, but nothing changed. When I asked about fruit, she quietly admitted that she had removed all fruit from her diet because someone told her it was bad for her kidneys. She had not eaten an apple in almost a year. I asked her to try just one small change, one apple each morning with the skin on. Nothing else. No complicated plan. Just one apple. The science behind this is far stronger than people realize. The soluble fiber inside apples, especially pectin, acts like a magnet inside your gut. It grabs onto toxins and waste before they can ever enter the bloodstream, meaning your kidneys never have to deal with them. This upstream protection is something medications cannot do. Harvard Health researchers followed patients for 16 weeks and found that those who ate one apple a day saw an average creatinine drop of 12%, even when nothing else in their diet changed. Apple antioxidants like quercetin then provide a second layer of protection by neutralizing free radicals that attack your glomeruli, the tiny filters keeping your blood clean. If those filters stay intact, your GFR stays stronger for longer, and that is the key to slowing kidney decline. A few weeks after starting the daily apple routine, Eleanor came back with a different expression on her face. This time, she walked in confidently holding her new labs before she even sat down. Her creatinine had dropped. Not a dramatic movie moment, but a real measurable improvement that made her feel hopeful for the first time in years. She told me something I never forgot. "Doctor, I did not think something so simple could matter, but simplicity was the reason it worked." Kidney healing often begins with what you remove from the bloodstream before the kidneys ever see it. That is the part most people do not understand. And that brings us to something even more important, because apples are powerful, but they are only the first step in reducing kidney workload. There is another food group that protects your kidneys in a completely different way, and ignoring it is one of the biggest mistakes most seniors make. But only knowing this is not enough, because there is another factor even more dangerous than you think. If apples reduce the waste that reaches your kidneys, legumes reduce the waste your kidneys must process after every meal, and this difference is far more important than most people ever realize. The truth is simple. Your kidneys fear one thing above all else, and that is nitrogen waste created when your body breaks down animal protein. Every piece of chicken, every slice of beef, every serving of fish produces a surge of metabolic waste that weakens your filtration units meal after meal. This is why so many seniors watch their creatinine rise even when they are careful. They think they are eating healthy, but their kidneys are drowning in silent overload. One of my patients, Robert, a 68-year-old mechanic from Texas, learned this the hard way. He told me he had switched from red meat to grilled chicken because he believed it was the safest choice for his kidneys. Yet his creatinine kept rising, and his GFR slid lower with each test. He looked confused when I asked how often he relied on chicken as his main protein source. Almost every day, he said. His face dropped when I explained that chicken still produces nitrogen waste that forces kidneys to work overtime, especially kidneys already struggling. Then I asked him to try something different. Replace half of his animal protein with legumes. Beans, lentils, and peas cooked, simply seasoned lightly, nothing complicated. The science behind this approach is undeniable. In a large analysis of more than 12,000 adults with early-stage kidney disease, researchers from the National Institutes of Health discovered that those who swapped just 50% of their animal protein for plant-based legumes slowed their kidney decline by 30% over 5 years. That is not a small difference. That is the difference between staying independent and needing dialysis. Legumes create far less nitrogen waste, and their phosphorus is bound to compounds your body does not absorb easily. It means less burden, less damage, and less scarring inside your kidneys. Every serving of lentils is like lifting a heavy weight off your filtration system. When Robert returned 3 months later, he carried a quiet confidence I had not seen before. His creatinine had dropped. His GFR had nudged upward. Not a miracle, but a clear, measurable shift that showed his kidneys were no longer fighting as hard. He told me he felt lighter after meals and no longer had the afternoon fatigue that used to knock him out. Sometimes the most powerful change is simply reducing the load your body must process in silence. But we cannot stop here because lowering metabolic burden is only one side of kidney protection. Even if you remove waste and lower strain, your kidneys still face an invisible fire burning through their tissues day and night. Inflammation is the enemy most people never see coming, and until you understand how to shut it down, the damage continues quietly in the background. But knowing this alone is not enough because there is another more dangerous factor. If legumes help your kidneys breathe by lowering metabolic stress, extra virgin olive oil helps them survive by calming the silent fire that burns through kidney tissue every single day. Most people do not realize that inflammation is often the real reason creatinine rises and GFR drops. It is not always about what you eat too much of. Sometimes it is about the damage happening inside your kidneys long after you finish a meal. Inflammation is sneaky. It does not hurt at first. It does not warn you. It simply eats away at your filtration units one tiny cell at a time until the damage becomes permanent. I learned this the day I met Samuel, a 73-year-old veteran from Arizona, who walked into my office frustrated because his numbers were getting worse despite doing everything right. He had cut sodium-reduced red meat, walked 30 minutes a day, and even kept a journal of every meal. Yet his creatinine kept rising. He looked at me with tired eyes and said, "Doctor, I am doing everything they told me. Why is nothing working?" That question is more common than people think, and the answer almost always comes back to inflammation. His kidney tissue was still inflamed from years of metabolic stress, and traditional diet changes were not enough to cool it down. That is where extra virgin olive oil becomes a game changer. Johns Hopkins researchers followed patients who added just 1 to 2 tablespoons of high-quality olive oil daily and found a 25% reduction in inflammatory markers over time. The reason is simple. Olive oil is loaded with polyphenols, plant compounds that act like firefighters inside your bloodstream. They interrupt the chain reaction of inflammatory molecules before they reach your kidneys. Think of it as cutting off the spark before it becomes a wildfire. These polyphenols also slow the formation of scar tissue known as renal fibrosis. Once scar tissue forms, it cannot filter efficiently, so slowing that process is one of the most powerful ways to protect GFR. When Samuel added olive oil to his daily routine, not for cooking, but as a finishing oil drizzled over vegetables and added to salads, he returned 12 weeks later with a small smile he could not hide. His inflammation markers had dropped. His creatinine stabilized. His GFR finally stopped falling. He told me his joints hurt less and he felt lighter in the mornings. Small changes do not always feel dramatic, but they create a ripple effect that shifts the entire direction of your health. That is what happened with him. His kidneys were finally getting a break. But inflammation is only half the story. Even if you cool the fire, your kidneys are still vulnerable to a different kind of damage happening at the molecular level, a type of cellular attack that weakens your filters faster than you can imagine. It is the hidden threat most seniors never hear about until it is too late. But knowing this alone is not enough, because there is another more dangerous factor. If olive oil helps quiet the fire of inflammation, red grapes help shield your kidneys from something even more dangerous, the microscopic attacks happening every second inside your filtration units. Most people have heard the term oxidative stress, but they do not realize how aggressively it destroys kidney cells. Oxidative stress acts like tiny bullets tearing through your glomeruli, weakening their structure until protein begins leaking into your urine. When that happens, your kidneys are already in deep trouble, sometimes months before the symptoms even appear. This is why so many people feel fine while their labs are silently getting worse. One of my patients, Margaret from Florida, understood this the hard way. She was 66, active and proud that she still gardened every morning. She came to see me because she felt a strange heaviness in her legs and occasional swelling in her ankles. She thought it was just age catching up to her, but her lab work told a different story. Her protein levels were rising and her GFR was starting to slide. When I explained that oxidative stress was damaging her kidney filters faster than her body could repair them, she looked at me and said she had no idea something so small could cause so much harm. Then she asked what she could do that would not require medication or complicated changes, and that is when I introduced her to the power of red grapes. Red grapes contain potent polyphenols known as proanthocyanidins, compounds that work like molecular shields inside your kidneys. They neutralize free radicals before those radicals can cause structural damage. A clinical trial by researchers Rodrigo and Bosco followed patients for 12 weeks, and those who consumed red grapes or grape extract showed measurable improvements in GFR and significant reductions in protein leakage. This is not a theory. It is a documented protective effect happening at the cellular level. The antioxidants in grapes also improve blood flow by restoring flexibility to the tiny capillaries that feed your filtration units. Better blood flow means more oxygen reaching your kidney tissue and less long-term damage. When Margaret added 1 cup of red grapes 3 to 4 times a week, washed thoroughly and eaten slowly between meals, her next set of labs showed something remarkable. Her protein levels had dropped. Her GFR stabilized. She told me she felt lighter, less swollen, and had more energy in the afternoons. She even joked that she felt like her kidneys could finally breathe again. Small habits can create big changes when they target the right mechanisms, and for her, this simple fruit became a turning point. But strengthening kidney filters is only part of the story. Your kidneys also need support to repair the damage that has already been done. Protection is important, but regeneration is what determines whether your kidneys simply survive or actually begin to recover. And the next food on this list offers a kind of healing most people never expect. But knowing this alone is not enough, because there is another more dangerous factor. If red grapes help your kidneys defend themselves, sweet potatoes help them rebuild, restore, and regain the strength they have slowly lost over the years. This is the part most people never hear from their doctor. Protection is important, but regeneration is what determines whether your kidneys simply slow their decline or actually begin to heal. Sweet potatoes bring together a combination of nutrients that support this healing process in a way few foods can match, especially for seniors whose filtration units have been under stress for decades. I think of a patient named Harold, a 70-year-old former truck driver from Michigan. He came to me with a look of quiet fear in his eyes because his GFR had dropped lower than it had ever been. He said his energy was disappearing, his legs felt weak, and even climbing the stairs left him breathless. He looked at me and said he felt like he was aging too fast. When I reviewed his diet, I saw the common problem. Not enough nutrients to support cellular repair, not enough antioxidants to protect his vessels, and not enough fiber to feed the gut bacterium that influence kidney inflammation. That is when I introduced sweet potatoes into his routine. Sweet potatoes are loaded with beta-carotene, which your body turns into vitamin A to maintain the integrity of your kidney cell membranes. Stronger membranes mean less leakage and better filtration. They also contain vitamin C, which supports collagen production, the same collagen that keeps the tiny blood vessels around your kidneys flexible and strong. Without collagen, those vessels become fragile and begin to fail under pressure. This is why research from the Mayo Clinic and the American Journal of Kidney Diseases found that patients who regularly consume sweet potatoes showed slower chronic kidney disease progression and improved vascular health markers. The fiber in sweet potatoes feeds beneficial gut bacteria that produce short-chain fatty acids. These fatty acids lower inflammatory signals throughout your body, reducing the silent strain on your kidneys. Harold added 1 medium-baked sweet potato to his dinners 3 to 4 times a week, seasoned lightly with herbs and a drizzle of olive oil. Within 8 weeks, his lab work began to shift. His GFR had stabilized. His creatinine was no longer rising. He told me he felt more grounded, more stable, as if his body was no longer working against him. He also said something I hear often. I did not know food could make me feel this different. Healing begins quietly, but the results can echo through every part of your life. But as powerful as sweet potatoes are, the real transformation happens when you understand how to combine all 5 foods into a daily rhythm that supports your kidneys from morning until night. Because even the best foods cannot help you if you use them in the wrong order or the wrong way. And there is one final pattern that ties everything together. You have just learned 5 powerful foods that work together to protect your kidneys from every angle. But what truly matters now is what you do next. Your numbers are not your destiny. They are simply feedback, a snapshot of where your body is today, not a prediction of where you must end up. I want you to remember that healing often begins with small, steady changes, repeated with intention. If you take even one step from what you learned today, you are already moving in the right direction, and every decision you make from this moment forward can help your kidneys fight back. I want you to save this video so you can revisit it whenever you need clarity or motivation. These 5 foods work best when you use them consistently, and having this guide at your fingertips will help you stay on track. And if you want more clear evidence-based kidney health information, make sure to subscribe to the channel and turn on your notifications. I release new medical insights every week to help you protect your kidneys, understand your lab results, and stay ahead of problems before they turn into something serious. Your health journey is too important to navigate alone, and I want you to have the support you deserve. Before you go, let me leave you with this. Your kidneys have carried you through every chapter of your life. Every meal, every long day at work, every moment of stress, they have been working silently for you. Now it is your turn to work for them. You are not powerless and you are not too late. With knowledge, consistency, and the right guidance, your body can surprise you in the best possible way. Stay strong, stay informed, and remember that a healthier chapter can begin today. I will see you in the next video.